Good morning. What a wonderful conversation that was. And I say conversation because I'm quite sure, as I was sitting over there, I thought I was speaking with Anurjit in a conversation. And that's the power of believing in what you're saying. That's the power of passion. It's the power to make you feel connected. So thank you. I thought that was an exceptional session. Well, in a way, and I think he said it, you have to feel good about what you do. You have to feel happy about what you do. And happiness is actually a spiritual experience where you're living every moment, loving what you're doing, with respect, with affection, with passion, and earning the admiration of everybody around you. And I can only tell you, it's been a little bit less than 12 months, and I'm trying to pack in what many of you here have done for the last 12 years or 24 years, and I feel very happy being here. And it is because, in my view, I've also learned the difference between learning and realization. My last 12 months have been about learning, of course, learning businesses, which I had never touched or sort of run before or managed before or understood before. So it's a lot of learning about you, about the people in the Max family, learning about the environment, relearning about the country I left many years ago. So a lot of learning. But more importantly, realization. And realization is different. Realization is about understanding the character of where you are and what you do. It is about defining for yourself the soul of who you are and how it connects with the Max family, and that was my realization. The warmth, the respect, the affection, the care, the thoughtfulness and the mindfulness of what we do resonated so strongly with my own set of values. And that combination is unbeatable, because then, when that happens, and I would ask you to examine that about yourself, about where you are, wherever you are, and whatever you're doing. If there is a match between who you are, truly are, and only you know, and what you're doing and who you're doing it with, that match is unbeatable. And many times, the dissonances that happen in life happen because there is a mismatch. There are some elements of who you are which don't reconcile with where you are and what you're doing. And I'm just very proud to say, and very proud to be here, that I am with people, and my realization is this, that the values that you represent, the values that the Max Group has, very much resonate with my own. And that is my greatest source of comfort, confidence, my best source of a positive outlook, and actually, to be honest with you, just keep it simple, my source of happiness every day. Because when I come every day to work, it is with that thought, and when I go back home and I sleep very soundly at night, it is because of that thought. So I would ask you to, as leaders of the Max Group, represent yourself in that frame, examine yourself in that frame, and you will find a lot of sources of your own happiness, which, by the way, is not only a necessary and sufficient condition, but a critical factor to the success that you embody as leaders in Max. So that was the first thing I wanted to say to you. I also want to say some of the words that Anurjit used, and these are thoughtfully expressed. There is a higher purpose in life than just making money. Making money is important. Being profitable, so to speak, is important. Being financially stable is incredibly important these days. But engaging yourself in not only doing it right, but doing the right thing is incredibly important. They're very different things. Doing it right chaps in McKinsey will tell you, and all of us who've studied the science of management. Doing it right the first time will lift your game by almost 3x in terms of your performance. There are companies who don't do it right, not buttoned up, processes are all over the place, rework happens, mistakes happen, errors happen, customers leave, chaos happens. When they lift their game in doing it right, their performance usually, and as measured by the pundits and the scientists of management, is almost 3x. But doing the right thing is going to raise, I would argue, in our times here, in this country that we live in what we do and who we are, will lift our game more than 10 times. I can promise you that. Because doing it right is good management, and doing the right thing is good leadership. And there's a huge difference between the two. Think about it. In everything you do every day, in the way you do it, the way you approach it, the way you behave with yourself, with others, and the bhavna that you have within yourself to be doing what you're doing, whichever part of the Max family you are in. It's a hugely thoughtfully put together bouquet, I call it, of businesses, not a cluster of businesses. Because each one of those has the capability to bring out the best in you in terms of both leadership and expect the best from you in terms of management. So much has happened. I mean, just think about it. And it's actually quite incredible, and I feel very privileged that one has been able to bottle these experiences of the last 12 months. Perhaps people don't go through this in a lifetime. I mean, look at what's happened to Max Life. It's Max Life. It's not Max New York Life. It sounds very casual to people outside. It's a huge thing. And you have to applaud the management team in Max Life today, led by Rajesh, many of whom are here, to have gone through such a massive transition, gone through times which are cloudy sky strategies, gone through fire and become stronger, become profitable, become market leaders, and embrace a new partner while embracing saying goodbye to the old one. It's a very special skill, and I have to say a huge vote of thanks to the Max Life team who have done it before. My good friend Dr. Bakshi is sitting right here next to me, and I have to say, Cloudy Sky Strategies is all about what we talk about almost every day. I don't want to call it a business because it is not a business. I hate calling Max Healthcare a business. I really do. It is really truly engaged in that higher purpose that I was talking about. We are now profitable. We have a new management team. We have 4 new hospitals, all in the space of these last 12 months. We have a new order of how things are happening. All of that has happened in the last, frankly, not even 12 months, 6 to 9 months. So much change being assimilated. And I know it's like advertising. If you see an ad and you ask 10 people, you will get 10 different opinions about that. That's what Max Healthcare is. People go pass up and down, oh, this is what's happening, that's what's happening. But I have to say full marks and a big round of applause to Max Healthcare for what they've done, what they've achieved. And most importantly, the confidence that they have brought about in terms of showing all of us that there is a future which is very bright. There are many people here, including our fresh new CEO of the Max Bupa family. We just finished 2 days of a board meeting yesterday and day before yesterday, reviewing their business. It's on a trajectory which is enviable. The premium that they have written has more than doubled. They have 280,000 lives now covered, which is spectacular. Their management team is also relatively new. We have stars in sales, in finance. We have new members who've come in. And by the way, all of this, again, in the last, and Damien has now gone, Mansi just comes. So transitions all over the place. This is BAU. This is BAU. It's the character with which you handle this, and it is the performance that you still deliver with all of these things happening that will actually distinguish the people who do it right and are doing the right thing versus everybody else. Big hand to you, Mansi and team. Our new baby was born when the Max India board welcomed our newest business into its fold, something that I'm very personally and proudly attached to, led by Tara. That is the senior living business, which I'm so very proud to be associated with. And I can tell you, if you just walk around, talk to anybody you want to, in this country or outside, the warmth and the feeling of care, the bhavna of seva, the need of the hour will tell you it is a huge, not one but 3 green tick marks on doing the right thing. Obviously, we're hoping, led by Tara and the team and Kenneth and others, Sumit, that they will do it right. Big hand to them for the future that they represent for the Max Group. And how can I forget my friends from Roper and my friends from the second floor in Okhla? The packaging films business has a very sentimental place in the hearts and minds of people in Max. And day after day, month after month, you can rely on their performance, you can rely on their profitability, you can rely on their expertise. Doing it right comes naturally. They have imbibed the spirit of Max, they represent much of it. And to that team and to Ajoy, where is Ajoy? Ajoy is right here. Every day, under the covers, how many of you think about the great work that is being done there, which will mark the future of how healthcare is delivered? Patiently, quietly performing, profitably performing, and led by fantastic people and fantastic teams. A huge hand to them. And finally, as far as our entities are concerned, if I may call them that, I actually feel that this is not, and this is why, this is a Max Leadership Summit. It is not a Max India Leadership Summit. Something I'm very proud of, which is the notion of looking at our bouquet of what we are engaged in as an enterprise, without compromising operating independence, without compromising excellence in all the verticals that we do. It is a huge lift, in my opinion, in both spirit, in the way we deliver what we do, in how we perform, and how we make decisions, to actually embrace the entire Max family into that. And with that, I want to welcome all of them, all of the people, Veer, Sanjeev, everybody else from Max Ventures who are doing spectacular work as far as Vana is concerned, Delhi One is concerned, so many other things, which, by the way, these are things which are very difficult to do. These are things that have sometimes not been done. These are things being managed by teams who are totally committed and passionate. And I applaud you, Veer and Sanjeev and everybody else for being here, for representing how we feel about the Max family as an enterprise, and wish you and everybody else there every bit of luck, love, respect, affection, expertise that we can offer you. Big hand to you for your future. Over the last 12 months, honestly, I mean, it's actually quite incredible. 3 new CEOs, almost 20 new cinema. How many of you here in this room, there are about 90 people here, how many of you, please raise your hands, joined within the last 12 months? Oh my God. So, can someone take a count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 20 people. 20 people, 20 senior leaders. And that's actually representative of the times that we're in, but also representative of who we are. Because I'll tell you what, I can speak for each of those 20 people. Not because of who I am in terms of what my position is, not because of the license I get because of it, not because of my designation, not because of any of those reasons, but because the character and the soul of this family is such that on day one, actually in my case, day minus 60, I felt welcomed, I felt absolutely comfortable, and I know that that's the same with all of you. And that's what distinguishes us as a family from everybody else. I've had 30 years of experience swimming around with various sharks in various financial services companies, most of them multinationals. And I can tell you, the sense of security and the sense of comfort that is represented by the character and the soul of our company, that's what leadership is about. It's about how you make others feel, as Anarjit said, and I certainly felt it. And I want you, because you're here to lead, I want you to imbibe that and make everybody in the Max family, new or old, 20 years in the job, 30 years in the job, or 2 hours in the job, feel like that. Because that is your responsibility too. But where are we going with all of this? I mean, there was a very interesting time when I was at one time in American Express, and we had a new CEO who joined, a guy called Harvey Golub. And Harvey was an ex-McKinsey partner, very senior guy, incredibly competent. And on his 6 months into his job, he was sitting with a bunch of analysts and investors in New York. This is not a comfortable, warm and fuzzy place, as you can imagine. They're very sharp people out there. Most of them absolutely ready to put knives into various CEOs as they've done. And he was asked, so Harvey, what are your key strategies and this, that, the other? And he was talking quite eloquently about what he wanted to do. It was very clear. And then they said, okay, fine, all that's okay. How are the numbers doing? How's the business doing? You know what his answer was? This is Harvey Golub. He said, I have no clue. This is to an analyst community. And he says, I actually don't worry so much about it because you know what? I know I'm doing the right thing. The numbers will follow. It'll happen. Now, we can sit in the comfort of Sona, Westin and say these things. Some guy sitting in New York in front of analysts saying this is a whole different matter. It takes courage. It takes conviction. And it takes a certain amount of dedication and passion for doing the right thing, not only going around with a measuring scale, what was my EBIT, what was my revenue, what was the growth. Of course, those things are important. But the focus was doing the right thing and doing it right. But for us, today, we are 8,000 odd crores in revenue, some 400 odd crores in EBIT. I mean, I would think in the next 4 or 5 years, we ought to be, and if I push a little bit, I can push these numbers up, we ought to be in the 30, 35,000 revenue, something like a 3,000, 3,500 EBIT easily, 25, 27% return on capital. That's the kind of company we will be, but more importantly, the way to measure ourselves is how many lives do you touch with what you do. And I can argue that that actually is the more fundamental and more important measure of how we're doing. The numbers will follow because we're all very smart people, we can engineer these things. And we will perform. But the number of lives that we will touch, and I was just doing a very simple calculation, we will be directly impacting at least 25 million lives, directly. And we will have at least 100 million moments of truth every year, at least. That's a huge responsibility. It takes leadership, it takes courage. Obviously, it takes competence. But it takes conviction that you are here to do the right thing too. And if you can't get onto that train, I can tell you, please get off now. Because that's the train that's left the station, not just leaving the station. You want to catch that, you want to be on that. I want to be on that. Because that, to me, is the sense of higher purpose that I spoke about. And how will we do this? There are so many different techniques. This is about doing it right. It is about managing capital. Capital is the raw material for our businesses. How sensible are you? What trade-offs are you making? Should we open another hospital? Should we acquire another senior living site? Should we have another wellness resort in some other place? Those are trade-offs that we'll have to make. Managing capital is an art, not just a science. How do we govern? I must say, the other thing that impressed me in terms of process is our quality of governance in this company is par excellence and beyond, and we have a set of very experienced and very widely experienced directors. And to a man, they say that the rigor and the approach that we have on governance of what we do is outstanding. And by the way, that creates itself a differentiation in reputation, a differentiation in the way people see you, and the confidence that investors have, customers have, and ourselves, our employees have in us. Governance is not just about sitting in a board meeting for 3 days. Governance is script your processes of how you deal with your employees, with your customers, with your shareholders. People can have confidence that the governance here is strong, and therefore they can have confidence that the outcome of those behaviors is strong. Synergy, enterprise synergy. There are huge gains, not just financial gains. The financial gains are huge as well. But the gains in spirit, in creating a community, in creating a family. And I'm looking now to Mohini, wherever she is. That, and I have so much hope that we can leverage what we do in the foundation, we can leverage who we are as a family from a synergy point of view. It's not just about the science of management, it is about the art of leadership. And I think that there are huge hopes there. Business performance. So this is not a warm and fuzzy manana sort of situation. I can promise you, certainly, on behalf of anybody who's looking, including myself, we will absolutely inspect for performance. We will absolutely expect reasonably superior performance, but that profitability that we're after will not come at the cost of being profiteers. It will not be rapacious pricing, it will not be usurious, it will not be unfair, but it will be profitable, and it has to be. You have to earn the right to grow. And if you don't do that, you will not have the ability to do many of those ideas and good ideas that we all will have in terms of our growth opportunities. So performance will be very important. I want to spend 2 minutes on brand and HR. And when I say HR, that's a department in the minds of people, not in mine. Because in my opinion, brand and people are two sides of a coin. You cannot be one thing. Like Analjit said, you can't be one way at home and then be another way elsewhere. Your customers, your stakeholders, your shareholders, your investors, journalists, government, your regulators, people from outside, your competitors will not look at you one way in terms of what your brand is and who you really are. Because in the service business, your customers experience your brand, and I'm saying 75 million times a year. And you cannot pretend. You cannot have wonderful brand campaigns saying, I am this and I'm that, and actually behave in a different way. That's incredibly important. And that's why the symbiosis between what we say is the truth behind our brand and how we behave and the outcomes that we produce has to reconcile completely. And it's in your hands and my hands to do that. And that is why our brand strategies have to be linked very carefully with our strategies with respect to what kinds of people we hire, who stays back with us to do things with us, how do we skill and train them, how do we orient them, what is their attitude, and is it visible and perceptible, and is it durable and sustainable. That's very important. Analjit talked about excellence. That should be our middle name, first name, last name. For us, the ability to do that, the ability to imbibe, and we say quality. Prashant and I have had n number of discussions. Quality is not a department. Quality is not a Baldrige Award race. Quality is not some book that you read at the end of the day or at the end of 1 month. Quality is what you weave into your daily life. It's the tools that you have all around you, and you imbibe those with soul, with passion, with commitment to be able to deliver what you deliver. And so to me, excellence is almost one of the stools. If I had to choose out of these 10, the 3 pegs of a stool which will be available for all of these other factors to sit on, it would be earn the right to grow by delivering superior performance, hire, retain, motivate the best people that you can get, and deliver what you do with an inordinate amount of excellence. Those are the 3 mantras on which everything else will rest. And the way that we have gone forward in crafting our brand strategies, and you'll hear a little bit more about this, is very much there. Because to me, Jeet explained, what is Seva Bhav? Seva Bhav is nothing other than saying you're doing the right thing. It's about that leadership. What is excellence about? Excellence is about doing it right. But when you combine Seva Bhav, which is doing the right thing, leadership, and combine it with doing it right, which is management, what do you get? You get credibility. Credibility is an important outcome because the difference between you, us, this family, and everybody else, are you credible to your customers, to your stakeholders? And I would argue in this day and age, where we are in India, where almost, literally we were coming to Sona yesterday saying, road theek nahi hai, government theek nahi hai, ye nahi hai, wo nahi hai. The expectation set of generally of customers in today's day and age, ki yo to yaar, I'm going to get gypped. They really don't mean what they say. Don't trust these chaps. Imagine, if from what we do and how we lead it, if we are able to anchor that these guys are credible, I trust them, I like them, I respect them, I admire them. But most importantly, that they are credible because they are excellent at what they do and they do the right thing. So to me, that distinction in this country today and for the next 20 years, I would argue, will be the difference between the leaders versus the followers. And in closing, I can only say that from my perspective, these are the values that we have. These are the values that will endure. These are the values we will polish, cherish, and deploy. I would tell you to examine your own soul, not just heart. And if you cannot get onto the train of what these values represent, I would argue you don't have a place in this room. So why are you here? You're here to ensure that your beliefs tally with these values, your beliefs tally with these values, your behavior tallies with these values, that you will internalize naturally and learn and realize what these values mean. You will act that way every day, that you will lead your people in the same way. Because if you can't, I would strongly recommend have another think about what you should be doing. I'm bold enough to say that. I've never had a problem affectionately parting company with people who have different values. That's okay. But for us in this family, that's the way it is. And that's the way it should be. And if I can see very far ahead, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, with my commitment and passion, I can only do that because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants like you. And that's why I can see very far. And the best thing, frankly, that a leader can do is to hire and pick the best people they can for the job to be done and avoid the urge to meddle with how they do it. So with that, I'm going to leave and hand it back to the summit. Thank you very much.